Welcome to the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Elfz Network. We are a bunch of wild and crazy Cleveland Browns fans, bringing you all the latest in Browns news. Tune in now. And good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of the Fans First Sports Network. We are here on a wonderful Thursday evening as we prepare for the Browns versus Washington Commanders preseason game tomorrow night, Friday night, down at Cleveland Browns Stadium, 7:30. Thank you for joining us, part of the Fanatical Elfz Network. We are joined by, Elliot and Steve, and we are the Untouchables. We I don't know if this is a Brown show or the Untouchables. If you're watching us on YouTube or on Twitter or the new X, yes, Steve and Elliot have brought their hats, their styling hats, old school Paul Brown. I'm thinking Sean Connery and the Untouchables. That's all I can think in my head. How are you guys tonight? Steve, let's start with you. How are you doing down there in Nashville?
Doing great. Fantastic. Can't wait. An actual preseason game with some starters who are going to play. People we know their numbers. And by the way, Elliot Ness used to was head of the Cleveland Police Department after he put Al Capone away. So there's a tie.
We're getting little history lessons.
Yeah.
Love it. Elliot, how are you? Elliot Ness? Oh, wait, no, you're Elliot Cannell, but yes.
Oh, I am absolutely untouchable. I'm psyched to have a real exhibition game. I think it'd be absolutely fantastic. I'm psyched. And by the way, Steve, you need to lean into your microphone a little bit. You're a little bit low on volume. We do hear you.
I am?
Yeah, we want to hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
You're all good.
Hello.
Oh, here we go.
Better.
We got a guest. Wait a second here. We've got not only the Untouchables, but we've got the left guard. Yes, we are the Untouchables. Elliot Ness is here. We are Sean Connery, and we are the left guard. This is great. We got the whole crew here tonight, and I guess you didn't get the memo there, Joel, and I didn't either. That Steve and Elliot, if you're watching again on YouTube, if you're listening to us, we're all the youngsters of the group are wearing their styling Paul Brownish hats, like I just mentioned.
Now I'll tell you this: you guys ever watch Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark? Yep. Steve, you look like that German guy.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
We are not thirsty.
Yeah.
That's okay. So it's the Untouchables and
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, the German Nazis from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
No one knew that.
I don't feel too good being a Nazi. I hate to say that.
Okay, on the better topics. So we've got Friday night, tomorrow night. We're going to get right into it. Just want to kind of, we've got a few storylines today. Couple things we'll just start with. Let's start with the Shelby Harris news. We're going to get into the game here shortly, but I know this is something that we've talked about. I've written about it, and some of you others have talked about Shelby Harris as well in your articles. So I wanted to go around the room and get everyone's evaluation. I think it's going to be great. I was really high on this guy and was hoping that the Browns would pick him up. So let's start down there with you, Elliot Ness. What do you think? What do you think about Shelby Harris, the defensive tackle?
Yeah, no, I think defensive tackle was the weakest position on the team. If you're going to look at the 22 starters that we had. And I would say that picking him up is probably going to move the point spread among the gamblers more than any other free agent that we might have picked up. If you look at who it is that we replace compared to who it is that we sign, I think it was a very significant signing.
Excellent. Steve, up to you up there or down there in Nashville. Shelby Harris.
I love it. They needed it. I mean, they needed a defensive veteran defensive tackle. They had to have it. Apparently, and I thought because of the contract restructure of Jordan Elliott that Jim Schwartz liked him. But you notice as soon as they got back from West Virginia, boom, Shelby Harris comes in for a visit.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking,
Are you leaning?
happy.
Yeah, are you leaning
And
like
then-
you're thinking? Yeah,
and-
Jordan Elliott,
and-
could he be leaving or not?
Well, I don't
what's
know.
your-
I don't know. I don't know. Jordan. I
Here's
don't know.
my
That's-
take on it,
that's a good
Steve.
question.
I hear the players and the coaches talking about Jordan Elliott even yesterday in their press conferences, and they're all talking high on him, and they talk about his leadership and his skill set, and they talk about him in a way that I don't get a sense like he's going out the door here tomorrow. But
Well,
I know
he's a little underwhelming against the Jets. Let me just
Sure.
put it to you that way.
Let's go now. Yeah, Steve, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. That's all I had to say. I mean, he could be the one out, but then you got your number 4, number 5 defensive ends who just had scopes down on their knees. So Jim Schwartz likes to have his defensive linemen interchangeable. So maybe they keep Elliott and Harris, and
Did you get to see the
Smith, Garrett, and Okoronkwo as their ends?
Did you watch? Was it Ben Bloom, the defensive line coach? He spoke yesterday after practice or before practice, and just an interesting takes from the coach, and just thought I really like it's really been interesting this last week. I've really been I will get down here to you, Joel, in just a second, because you've talked a little bit about Jim Schwartz's defense and those single gap, double gap schemes now. And I've really been listening to the coaches more and more and the players, and they're talking about this attacking sort of downhill, sort of playing with freedom. And even Ogba, I just call him Obi-Wan.
Boy, we are mixing in our 80 blockbuster
Well,
movies
I've been
here,
talking about
aren't we?
Obi-Wan on the training camp show. So if people are listening to the training camp shows, they know I've been calling him Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan even talked about how he's never been in a system like this his whole career, and he's having to unlearn things. And so I'm wondering, like, that's going to be the biggest hiccup for the Browns going into the season, is a lot of these guys unlearning ways that they've played the game and given kind of the freedom to just like explode. I'm excited as a fan, but then you're like, it's going to take some time. So down to you, the left guard.
So I want to say, you know who has played in a double gap defense?
You.
Jordan Elliott has played in a double gap defense. And you know who else
you.
has played in a double gap defense? His former teammate at Missouri, Isaiah McGuire.
Yes.
So I think if there's anybody on this roster who benefited, and this is one of my very early What the Elf Was That podcast, it was the winner of the NFL draft is Jordan Elliott, because they didn't draft a 3 technique, and Jordan Elliott is a 3 technique who's played a double gap system and was drafted to do that, but then had to be retaught how to play his position and has been very bad at it. And I looked at this game last week and I thought Jordan Elliott actually played pretty good. Given what he was supposed to do and what he was supposed to handle, I thought he was doing pretty good. So I don't understand the whole Jordan Elliott's gone situation.
Right.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Tommy Togiai is the one that needs to be worried, because his arms are short for a defensive tackle, which means linemen are going to get their hands on him and move him around. So that's where he's going to struggle. And my thing about Shelby Harris, which is a great signing, great veteran, played in the system, knows what the system is.
Right.
You're not having to teach him how to play the system. But what's going on with Maurice Hurst? He came out with a system like this out of Michigan, right?
Good question.
And when Jordan Elliott came out of college, his NFL comparison was Maurice Hurst. So you've got both of them on the roster. What's going on with him? I think this says a lot more about what Maurice Hurst is doing in camp than it is about Jordan Elliott. I mean, Jordan Elliott is penciled in before Shelby Harris. Jordan Elliott was penciled in as the starter.
I do. I agree with
All
that. It's funny because our colleague, our commander in chief over at Dog Pound Daily, he was like immediately thinking that Jordan was going to be gone. And I'm like, I agree with you.
I saw this as a vote of confidence on Jordan Elliott.
Well, and the way that they're talking about it, see, that's the thing, though, Joel, listening to those press conferences, especially yesterday, because Elliott's name came up several times to players and the coaches, and none of them acted at all like he was on this outskirts going to be gone. I mean, they all talked about his leadership and his learning the style, learning everything. And like you said, he's already been in the system. So
I don't know. I feel like Jordan Elliott's been like a man in no man's land. Just like for 3 years, it's like, what the heck's been going on? And like all of a sudden, like home has returned. Now he knows what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And now we can get to see him play and what made him that 3rd round draft pick. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm not sure why we're cutting him.
Let's move on just briefly. Steve touched on it. Let's start with you, Steve, first, because you mentioned the injury bug. After the games this last week, we learned that Alex Wright and Isaiah Thomas, both defensive ends and coming into their second seasons, look to be really going to be helping the team. And unfortunately, they both suffered some minor injuries that required some surgeries, and it sounds like they will be out for a good length of time. There's thoughts that maybe they could come back after the first quarter of the season. Let's start with you, Steve, on that. What do you think about those two guys and what those were lots of questions yesterday at the press conference too.
Alex Wright, I thought he'd make the team. Isaiah Thomas, I didn't think he would.
Okay.
I'm more concerned about Jerome Ford's hamstring. I'm more concerned about that. I'm joining Elliot at the concern of the running back room just got more concerning.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's going to make all pro. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know that 12 yards is going to double.
He had 12 yards last year. That's enough.
But I'm more concerned about that. I'm not concerned about the number 4, number 5 defensive ends.
Okay.
I mean, you can keep them on the roster. Probably injury cut Thomas and maybe put Wright on injured reserve. I don't know.
Elliot, what do you like?
They've got a lot of options to do.
With that in mind, okay, so you can chat on those topics too, Elliot. And also, I've been bringing this up for a while. And we've all talked about Greg Newsome, the cornerback, and I believe he's recovering from a groin injury, which are very tough to come back for him. I'm just very skeptical. I don't. He's had a rough period being a Cleveland Brown, and we're getting this new system, and him being out now. I'm sure he'll be back, but I don't think this speaks well, and I don't know what the future holds for Greg Newsome. Your thoughts on that and the other guys that have been injured, including Jerome Ford, your favorite running back?
Well, yeah, actually, I do like Jerome Ford. I think he needs to make the team. I'm not sure that I believe that he's a 1-for-1 replacement for a former Pro Bowl running back like Kareem Hunt. He might be, but that's a risk. I do think though that the defensive ends are going to be cut and signed to the practice squad. I don't believe that somebody's going to claim them off of the waiver wire. I just think that's a very low risk, and so I think that they'll be on the practice squad for a while, and then hopefully when they heal up, they'll try to promote them. But I think that they would probably normally in today's NFL, they would probably want to have not more than 4 defensive tackles, maybe 5 if they really like them. But 4 is probably the right number.
But, I was really well, we'll come back. I have another.
Houston was going to make the team.
Yeah.
If he's injured, they don't get to put him immediately on the IR. He has to go be made part of the 53-player roster and then go IR. They can't just put him there without clearing waivers, and he would not pass waivers.
Okay. Left guard, Joel. Thoughts on all the injuries and Greg Newsome potentially?
I'll jump on the Newsome train here. Then I'll come back to the defensive ends. I'm not worried about Greg Newsome. I don't think he's going to get cut. You don't give up on a 1st-round draft pick until you get at least 4 years out of him. So, I mean, this is what, year 3 for him?
Yep.
So you got him this year, next year. Let's just heal him up and If you got to put him on IR, you're not going to get him through waivers. Somebody's going to grab him.
Mhm.
So let's just, put him on IR and heal him up and get him back out there. Let's see what happens. It's in a new system. Oh, honestly, and defensive back coaches are going to kill me when I say this. Defensive backs are defensive backs, man. I mean, like they can do different things, but cover 4 is cover 4.
Mhm.
Cover 6 is cover 6.
Mhm.
Man coverage is man coverage. Doesn't matter what the defensive front is doing. There's a massive difference in what the defensive line is doing on these schemes. But defensive backs, cover 4 is just cover 4, no matter what they're doing up front. But speaking of which, defensive ends, I'm going to agree with everyone so far. Personally, I don't even think Isaiah Thomas was making the team, right?
Yeah.
I think Alex Wright may have had a chance because he came from a scheme that double gapped at was it Central Florida, something
He was
like
at
that?
UAB.
All right, wherever it was, I watched his tape and they
I thought
did
it
a
was
double
at
gap
UAB.
scheme, but he wasn't very refined with it, which is why he dropped in the draft. Right, Isaiah McGuire, I think they drafted him because they knew they needed somebody with his skill and his technique. So I'm not sure either one of them were making the team to start with. So if you can stash him on the practice squad after you cut him, I think they're going to get cut anyway. I want to jump back to this thing with Elliott, right? Like Jerome Ford, right? Jerome Ford is not going to be a 1-to-1 replacement on Kareem Hunt. But as an analytics guy, Elliott, couldn't you just replace him in the aggregate? Between Ford, maybe putting Elijah Moore back there for a play or two, couldn't you have a committee of people back there replacing Kareem Hunt in the
They've
aggregate?
talked a lot about that. Yeah.
I don't know, but you need to have somebody good. I think that they might find somebody.
How about John Kelly?
What about McCrary until they cut him? Yeah.
Why didn't McCrary play? Did we know about him?
He played. He got in a few plays, probably in special teams. He had
That
like
was-
4 plays. He was listed as
Yeah.
four plays.
But
That was
when you
Elliott's
watch
guy.
Everybody that played in, all the running backs did great in the first game.
Well, let's talk about tomorrow, and then we're going to take a break after that. But let's get into tomorrow a little bit. We'll come back and then we'll finish the show. We'll talk about tomorrow as well. But so your expectations, what you're watching for, and just your initial responses to the fact that the Browns are coming in with most of their starters. From what we understand, Deshaun Watson is going to be given. From what Stefanski's telling us, that they're looking at a certain number of plays. A series or two is kind of, but then they like it's dependent on the series of plays. And so let's start there with you, Steve. What are your initial what are your expectations tomorrow night? What are you most excited about? What are you looking forward to seeing?
Well, first of all 4 quarterbacks are going to play. If the Browns get the ball first and Deshaun Watson goes down the field 75 yards, 6 to 8 minute drive, and they get a touchdown, the bench, Deshaun Watson. You're not playing again until week 4.
Are we seeing Nick Chubb? Are we seeing Nick Chubb tomorrow?
No, you're not gonna
Okay.
see Nick Chubb.
Okay.
No, you're gonna see Felton. You're gonna see Hassan Hall, who I really like, and of course the king of the preseason, John Kelly.
How many yards does Hassan Hall have?
He looked pretty good against the Jets.
I mean, how many yards has he gotten in the NFL season? We're all down on 4 because he's got 12. But how many does Hassan Hall have?
Well, he's a rookie, isn't he?
But we're all up on him. We're all up on him.
I just want to see the young guys. I'm thrilled to see the young
Jerome
guys.
Ford
Also,
qualifies as a young guy. I'm just saying.
I want Jerome Ford to play. I loved him at Cincinnati. I thought it was a great draft pick.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate he got hurt. I would have loved to seen him in this game. This would have been a great opportunity to see what he had. And I'm fully aware that, he was a rookie last year, but still, I think he's going to be a great back. Want to see the offensive line, want to see the defensive line. Not really sure if Myles Garrett is going to play. It might behoove him to play a couple series since this is the new, like Joel says, this is a completely new system. He needs to get integrated. He needs to get into this system. So I want to see who starts at linebacker. I'm very curious to who's going to start at linebacker. I also want to see more of safety Bubba Bolden and the young guy,
interception.
Cameron Mitchell. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he played pretty well. He might give DeAnthony Bell and Hickman a little run for their money.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't hear much of Hickman or see him the game. I wasn't, obviously that was late. Well, he played some. I mean, he got a
Yeah, he did
20 some
play.
place. Yeah. Yeah. Let's go down there. Do you, Joel? What are you looking forward to tomorrow night? And it's
I'm still looking to watch the defense. I'm pretty excited. I was talking to Elliot on the other podcast the other day that the difference you can see between the single gap and the double gap defense. And the single gap defense, everybody's running up field in an attempt to gain, to make some disruption. And then running backs just have to find a slot or a lane and get out of there. In a double gap defense, the whole defense is reading their keys and running to the ball. And that was pretty evident the other day that they were running the ball. So I would hope to see some starters on defensive line. I am chomping at the bit to see Myles Garrett and see what he does, because he's never played in a double gap scheme.
I really like listening.
He's going to get some reps, and I want to see what it looks like.
It always surprises me was that Darius Smith is brought up. We talk about him on and off on this. We're all talking about him because he's a new guy opposite Myles, but his background and his hard-nosed work ethic. I mean, that the guy Ben Bloom talked about him, the coach, yesterday again, and how Smith was a 4th round draft pick. He went JUCO. He didn't get a lot of he wasn't recruited, greatly, and then he was a 4th round pick, and really he's been a star in the league, but he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but he works hard. From everybody that talks about him, he really has a good work ethic. So I'm excited to see him. Hopefully he'll be out there. Elliot Ness. Hello.
Well, yeah, indeed. It looks to me like on August 4th that they waived Nate McCrary.
Yes.
So he did something bad. I don't know what he did. But I wrote an article talking about how great I thought Nate McCrary was, and then they waived him. Sorry, but okay, he's now a Green Bay Packer. So who knows?
He went to Green Bay. Okay,
went to Green Bay.
All right.
So okay, I thought he was pretty good. But what do I know?
What are you looking forward to tomorrow night, Elliot?
Well, we want no injuries. We do not need to play the first string very much at all. This is really going to be the second string. I think that the Washington team, the Commies as we know them, they're going to play a pass-happy offense this season because they've got an offensive coordinator with a chip on his shoulder.
Yes.
They've got the fastest wide receivers in the NFL. They don't have much of a running game, and so I think you can look for the deep ball early and often. Even though they're not playing their first string, the offense is still designed for the deep strike. So I think it'll be very exciting. I'm not sure if they're going to throw the ball to the maroon jerseys or not. They could very well go to our guys instead. So we'll see how that works out. I think it could be very, very exciting.
So, Elliot, are you excited to watch Tank Howell out there?
Yeah, we started to call him Tank Howell. They have a quarterback controversy where they've decided that their 5th round draft pick is going to be the next franchise quarterback.
We're talking about Sam Howell. Yes,
we're calling him Tank Howell because we think that the Commies may actually tank the season to try to get a really good draft pick for next year. We think Jacoby Brissett should probably be the guy that would lead that team to the most victories. Will they have a
1 out of every 3?
I think the Commanders should put a big tank on their helmet because that's what's going on this year.
Yeah.
That might be.
Josh,
we'll see how they play. If
Josh,
they're really trying to win, if they're really trying to win, and they might. I think they have a really good defense. Their top 22 players are actually very, very good. And if they play it straight, I think Jacoby Brissett has to be the winner of that quarterback competition. And I think they might surprise people. They really might.
Elliot, thank you.
I like strong defense, man, and that's what they've got.
we're going to pause here just for a break. After the break, we're going to give away our tickets here on the Fanatical Elves Network. We've got 2 free tickets to tomorrow night's game against those Washington Commanders. And we're going to also chat a little bit about the Hall of Fame. We just got to watch Joe Thomas go into the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to ask the guys here a couple questions about the future Hall of Fame and players on the Browns. So we're going to go pause for a break. This is the Fanatical Elves show on the Fanatical Elves Network, part of Fans First Sports Network. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back on the Fanatical Elves show, part of Fans First Sports Network, and thank you for joining us. I say this on every show that we're doing, and we really are increasing our audience, and it's all thanks to all of you out there that are listening to us on Apple, on Spotify, on all the podcasting platforms. Maybe you tune in to see us on Facebook or on the Twitter X. So thank you. Spread the word about our Fanatical Elves Network. We are, you type in Cleveland Browns. I know Elliot and I were discussing this via text the other night, and if you even click on Cleveland Browns podcast on Apple, we come right up. And our show came up on Google search the other day, so it's easy to find us, I hope. And for all you out of town Browns fans, I know that you're going to get the NFL Sunday ticket. You're going to go to YouTube and sign up. Might as well go to YouTube and subscribe to the Fanatical Elf Network. As well. Go to Elves Net. It's Elves Network on YouTube. So it's ELFZ Network, all one. You can find us easily there, and subscribe and follow. And when you do that on Apple or Spotify or any of these things, that notification will pop up on your phone. We also have an Elves shop now where we have Elves Browns swag. It's some really good stuff. The link is in the bio on the Twitter page. So anybody that's listening, go to our Twitter page. We'll try to provide that on our Facebook page as well. You click on it and you can purchase anything you want. I'm telling this for the first time, but the guys, I've mentioned this off air, but I'm getting the guys we're getting them a golf t-shirt or golf shirt with the Elves logo on it. So Merry Christmas, boys. Yeah, okay. Extra large. Okay. So that's my Christmas gift to all of you great contributors to our network. These guys do so much for this network, but they also contribute to Dog Pound Daily, Cleveland Sports Talk. I write for Northeast Sports Insiders. So we're always writing on the side. Steve's got his own blog. So just follow us along. Again, we've got Joel Cade, we've got Elliot Cannell, Steve Gill. You can find us on all social media platforms, and would really encourage you to check us out. Okay, so Joe Thomas was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Just personally, I thought it was a great moment. I really enjoyed watching it, and I thought Joe was really, really good with what he said and how he said it. And there were a lot of Browns fans in attendance. If you would like to talk about that briefly as I go around talking to each one of you. The other part of this question is, who on the Browns' current roster do you feel has an outside opportunity potentially to reach the great Hall of Fame? Let's start over there with you, Elliot.
Oh, well, obviously the guys that are on a Hall of Fame trajectory are Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett. Mm-hmm. I think there's some chance that Deshaun Watson might make it. I think that's kind of a long shot. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, and then Joel Bitonio. Man, how can I forget him? Yeah.
Yes. Did you guys see Joe Thomas's take this morning on the Dan Patrick show? Did anybody see that? It was Dan Patrick has a real hate for Deshaun Watson. And I know a lot of people, we've talked about this on this show, even last week, a little bit about Deshaun Watson, but he was posed the question, Joe Thomas was this morning, and Joe it was a very good answer in response to Dan Patrick's question. I think Dan was trying to put Joe in a kind of a corner about everything, and Joe basically said, we just need to move on. And I thought, Dan Patrick didn't have anything to say afterwards. He said, thanks, Joe. You could really sense that Dan got shut up a little bit. But
Good.
All right, so let's go over to you, the left guard, Joel.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking about this left guard named Joel Batonio, number 75. We got my 75 jersey on, baby. Joel Batonio deserves to go in the Hall of Fame. I mean, this guy's played left guard for a while. Clearly my favorite player on the Browns. Joel, left guard. I got to go for it. He's played left tackle. I think they've even had him at center, or at least practicing at center. Very versatile. He's been top-notch since he got there. I mean, had a chance to play between Joe Thomas and Alex Mack. So I like Joel Batonio going in the Hall of Fame. I have no idea how this guy didn't end up on the top 100 in the NFL from somebody's stupid list.
What the hell was that?
I don't even. What the elf was that?
What the elf was that?
That was the stupidest thing I ever saw.
Yeah, I saw a post on X about it, and I was like, well, tell me what you think about these guys in the top 100. My response was, where's Joel Batonio? But at any rate, the usual suspects are. I want to talk about Myles Garrett on this one.
Yeah,
I think Myles Garrett has absolutely the talent to make it into the Hall of Fame. Okay, my question on Garrett, since he's run out, and this goes back to that Johnny Manziel Untold, is
well, I want to touch on that here in just a second.
Is he disciplined enough, and can he hold it together long enough to learn and allow somebody to teach him? Because he's been called out for a while on leadership, study, film room work, all this stuff by former teammates and other players. And can he get himself in a position where he can learn from the likes of Jim Schwartz? And Jim Schwartz could take him from, I'm relying on talent, to I have talent and technique. And he could possibly be the greatest defensive end to ever play. But it's in his head. Does he have the humility to finally allow somebody to discipline him and put him on a trajectory to succeed? Or is he just going to say, I'm Myles Garrett, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want, and I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame? Either way, I think he gets into the Hall of Fame.
Right. Steve?
All right. Well, usual suspects, they've all been mentioned. Nick Chubb, Myles Garrett. Of course, Joel Batonio, big on Joel Batonio. Outside chance, maybe if he can stay healthy, Denzel Ward, maybe. They'd have to go to multiple playoffs and, really show up in the playoffs.
Okay. Yeah.
But, I agree with Joel on Myles Garrett. He's got the perfect opportunity right now. He's got a teacher that is going to heighten his ability.
He's entering year 7.
And this is the perfect time to do it. This is it right here for Mr. Garrett.
So we talked about just a second, and we were talking off air about the untold story of Johnny Football. I'm Johnny Cleveland, so he stole my name, but close enough. No, so I did get a chance to finally watch the documentary after Joel did a great hot take, heated up, emotional podcast. Go back and watch that, the What the Elf show by Joel here. He did a great job, and so
thank you.
Yeah, it was great. And I've been talking to my own son, Alec, who's up there in Michigan and the state up north, and he and I were talking about the whole show itself. I don't know. We can talk about it more next week because I know Steve and Elliot haven't watched the show, and I think they want to take a gander at it too. But that'll be one of our topics. But Elliot, while you're here, Joel, while you're here, I think I agree there were certain parts of it that I could, your song and the NCAA and whatnot, and how they used and sort of you abuse. I was and I talked to these guys earlier about this, but Kings, the Texas A&M,
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, I thought he really dropped the ball, but I know these kids are kids. But I also, it was interesting talking to my son Alec, because the other part of this that he found interesting was how Manziel went to a really regiment program in Texas. Like they were drilled, like it was like the military. There's lots of footage of their double practices, and it was a military situation. And going from that to this Texas A&M that was out there there's nothing, it just, the freedoms and going to college, and that the height of how that whole freshman year, it accelerated so fast. for the kid. And I mean, I was telling these guys too, and if you watch the program, we'll talk about it more next week, but he's really had a lot of difficulty mentally. He has a lot of struggles. He's been diagnosed with bipolar. And so I was having a hard time feeling completely upset about, or feeling for him. But I'd like to get Steve and Elliot's take after they watch it. So maybe we can, Elliot, I don't know
we'll talk about it next week.
Let me say one thing, though.
Yes.
One thing. I think when you take a 19-year-old kid and media outlets and coaches and everyone around him is basically using him for their personal gain, that kid is going to look around and say, what the elf is going on here? And that's almost literally his
that was
word.
his take. Yeah.
Like, what the F is going on here? And why can't I get mine? And I don't begrudge him one bit.
And the money that he then started taking that came out later when the NCAA started investigating, that was kind of triggered by like this buildup according to kind of the way that they played it out in the series. Anyway, we'll talk about it more because there was a lot. Well, I thought it was I thought the show itself was decent, but I thought the whole concept was rushed in an hour and 10 minutes. And I felt like it wasn't a complete story. There were, and I'd like to get a little bit more detailed, but Steve, I'm sorry.
Well,
Steve?
I live in the SEC. I live in the SEC country. You become a legend when you beat Alabama as a freshman. I mean, that's it. That, you could just say right there, he punched his ticket to the NFL after that game. Unfortunately, it was the Browns. I remember in Nashville at the draft party going, "Don't draft this guy. Draft this guy." But he made you in the SEC. You become a legend when you do something like that. It's just the way it is.
Yeah,
I just think there are a lot of people taking advantage of him. And he needed somebody to protect him. He needed somebody to protect him, and it was illegal against NCAA rules for anyone to basically protect him.
But I would also if you're throwing that out there before we go here. To protect him, though, I mean, he had two knucklehead parents that, I mean, come on. I mean, you were talking about protection. I mean, they're his parents, and they were doing some of those stories that came out that they described in the documentary, just crazy. And I'm sure that I don't know. I mean, we can talk about it next week because there's a lot.
We should do a special podcast.
Yeah, I think we might just do. I think we just might do that. Yep, let's plan on that. So let's switch gears. I want to do the giveaway. This is our ticket giveaway. Drum roll, please. So these folks have followed the show. They're following the Fanatical Elfz Network. Thank you, Steve. They're following the network now, and they have also retweeted our posts about the tickets. And so I'm excited to announce our winner. Our winner tonight, it goes by the name of Devin Ribley. At Twitter, it's Devin_Ribley. Congratulations. You've just won 2 tickets to the Browns game tomorrow night. And he is a all things Cleveland fan. And he's married to his beautiful wife and has 3 children. So
awesome.
Congratulations, Devin.
Yeah.
And
way to go, Devin.
We'll be communicating with you shortly. Final take tonight before we let you all go. Again, we have a full house tonight. We've got Elliot, Joel, and Steve who contribute every week to their shows, the What the Elf Was That, Football, Philosophy, and Rocket Science that might be under construction this next week or two. Steve Gill with his Dog Pound South podcast brings that outside of Cleveland flair. So thank you all for contributing. We also have my own show, the Johnny Cleveland podcast, and we also Brad. Not Brad. It slipped my mind. The Browns Blitz. The Browns Blitz
Rod?
with Rod. Yeah, duh. Okay. So sorry, Rod. Okay. Final take before we leave. Let you guys go tonight. Elliot, let's go with you first. Oh, can't hear you, Elliot. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We'll come back
Please
to you.
stand by. We're having
Hold on a second.
technical
I'm going to see if I can
difficulties.
unmute you here. Hold on a second. Let's see if we can. Nope.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. It's got some. Okay. Steve, final
Oh,
thoughts.
hold on. Elliot, try it again.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Elliot.
no,
you're
I
good.
just wanted to say that I think that the Manziel affair was so bad that is the reason why the Haslam family decided that Dee and not Jimmy was going to be the CEO of Haslam Sports Group, and Jimmy agreed to that.
Okay. Yeah. We'll come back to that. We'll
There
have a
you
lot
go.
more. We're going to have a special show next week. We're going to bring these guys back and we're going to talk about the untold
That's
Johnny.
Elliot's hot take.
Yes, that
Elliot's
is a big hot take. Believe me, he was hot when we were off air talking about it. So that's
Oh,
just a
boy,
little.
was he.
That's just a little preview. I had to call them both Steve. I had, well, they're the Ness brothers or the Untouchables. So, had to calm them down. Joel, final thoughts tonight.
Can I go last?
Yes. So unless
Okay.
Steve wants to go last.
No, I'll go next.
Okay,
First
Steve.
of all, I think it's very appropriate that when you announce the winners for the ticket, your side of your face was lit up in the sunlight. That's
Oh,
very
there you
good timing on you. See, there it is.
Yeah.
Ta-da! But anyway, like
Lord
Elliot,
gave
like Elliot, I want to see a injury-free game. I want to see as little penalties as possible. And like Joel, I am just going to sit back and watch the defense.
Yeah, I'm
I
excited about that
The
too.
defense.
We are planning on having a pregame show like we did last week. Some of the guys here will be joining me tomorrow night as we're going to do a show earlier in the afternoon and bring that to you before the game starts. We're going to also have a post-game show. It might just be me, but it might be some of these guys if they're still awake to come on. We'll come on in the fourth quarter.
Game.
Yeah, we'll come on in the fourth quarter, kind of like we did the last time. Bring it live. So we'll bring that show to you live. We might even do the early show live. We might as well. Might as well just bring it. We're going to be live. So there will be mistakes, but we don't care. We like bloopers. Okay. Final take, Joel.
I can't think of one.
Oh,
I started like I gotta think of here's my final take. My helmet came in. I was pretty excited about this.
oh,
My
nice.
new
nice.
mini helmet. Little mini helmet. I
Oh,
gotta put
I
him
love
back up there.
I love it.
With my other one, I've got my 46 and I got my regular one. And so now I gotta put this one right here. And I got my
Awesome.
current Browns helmets there. So yeah, got my white helmet
It's
in.
good. I'll say the President Clinton with the overbite. Okay. Never mind. Well, this was a great show tonight. Thanks for joining us on the Fanatical Elfz Show, part of Fans First Sports Network. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be bringing you again our pregame show tomorrow before the Browns play tomorrow night at 7:30 down at Cleveland Browns Stadium. Start the tailgating right now. All right, guys. Go Browns. Thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.